Hi, this is Andrew from Turnsounds, and don't use super glue on your eyelids.
Yep, join is ready.
Why, hello!
It's R2, you another bad motivator, look!
I haven't the faintest idea why I agreed to this.
This is no Astromech.
Hello there, and welcome to Astromech, your second favorite Star Wars podcast. You probably got one above us, I don't know.
I doubt that. I doubt
see.
that very strongly.
We are the Toy Story podcast that disguises itself as a Star Wars podcast.
That's pretty accurate, actually. Yeah, that's
We're
a
all
good description.
Very impressed.
I don't know enough Toy Story to help you out.
See, I miss Ben already. Ben, our co-host, is away on sick leave at the
He
moment.
says sick leave, but I've seen him, whining and dining with a few other podcasters out there. So,
Really?
yeah, it's quite possible he's looking to make a move.
Well, I would very much see any deal above $0 an hour to be very enticing.
This is true. Yeah.
So,
100%.
Ben, we can only offer you our appreciation. Tell you what, Ben Appreciation Day!
Hey!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I am your host, Isaac Mark Anthony. You know me as Admiral Isaac Barr, the Admiral of the show until it drops. It's very defeatist today. Andrew.
Hello, Andrew Green, AG11.
I like it.
I don't set myself for self-destruct, except on every second weekend. Yeah, gets a bit rowdy.
Every time I think of that scene, no, don't
Don't do it, don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah. So we took a little break over the Christmas, New Year's period, and this is not the official return episode. This is the testing the waters, seeing who's still interested a little bit.
This is when you've got the ice cream in the bottom of the bowl, and it's just a little bit, and you're scraping the spoon repeatedly, trying to get that last little bit up. Just that.
I'm more sticking with the ice cream metaphor.
Okay, yeah.
It's like you take the ice cream out of the freezer and it's really, really frozen to the point where you can't quite dig the spoon
Smash
in there.
this. Yeah, you've got to kind of put it in the microwave and maybe defrost it a little bit.
And it makes you wonder, do I even feel like ice cream? I don't know.
Why did I leave the spoon in there? Now the microwave's on fire. Did that once, guys. Don't do it.
No.
Bad idea.
Yeah, plastic spoons. Okay. Well, leading you into our first technical show of 2021.
Yeah.
I thought I might do a little bit of an impromptu blue milk glass of half fullness, if you want.
I don't like it. I don't agree with it. But I accept it.
Now, this one's an interesting one. It's typically the part of the show where we pick something out of Star Wars that maybe didn't do so well, a bit contentious, and we try and give it a positive spin, or maybe reason out why do you think that they did that. Far as I can tell, we haven't ever dipped into the OT at all. Like, people don't...
Oh, really? Have we not?
I don't think so. We look at the prequels, the sequels, and, everything in between.
Yep.
But I thought, let's dip a bit into some of the things that people didn't quite like about the original trilogy.
Yeah, okay, let's do this.
Now, I am not here to divide families, okay?
Okay.
But I'm here to talk to you about EWOKS today.
Okay, interesting.
Murder bears, as you've called them.
Yes, murder bears.
So they are, I've heard it said, and even seen it written down in like article form, where people saying that's one of the weaker points of Return of the Jedi, the whole plush toy,
Yeah. Well, yeah, true. Okay, good point.
And so, cool. Okay, so you've got this, the inhabitants of this moon, and I think it's a pretty neat idea that they are able to team up with the rebels, who they were going to cook, but now, Yeah,
they were going to have them as a snack. And then they decided that they wouldn't.
But, okay, so...
Yeah.
Typically it gets, stated that it's a bit too childlike, I suppose, a little bit corny. You got them trying to trip up the ATSTs with a rope and they're getting dragged along, you know. I myself didn't really have a problem.
I did see a meme or a photo or some kind of reference to say that those two, or that Ewok bear that was killed by the stormtroopers is their only official hit from all the shots that they made.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that. Moving on.
It's like a 9-second shot. It's very, very sad.
Yeah. really bringing podcasts down. But look, so I think, so are we talking, why did they do this?
What was the motivation?
From a filmmaker point of view or from a storyline?
Both.
So from a filmmaker point of view, I think it's that merchandising thing, you know. Transformers didn't exist until they wanted to release transforming toys and then they made the cartoon. This, I think, is obviously in the reverse, where they went, "Hey, we can sell toys to kids." And
well, they were already doing that in droves. With Kenner and whatnot.
That's exactly right. So, what's the next thing we can do? And you see that sort of thing nowadays with the sequel trilogy, with BB-8 and Dio and like Nerf guns and all the other paraphernalia you can buy. We've talked about this in one of our earlier episodes. But yeah, I think it was from a I suppose a production point of view, it was simply to sell more things, potentially.
Okay. But still add some kind of content to the flavor, or flavor to the content. Yeah.
The other way, yep.
So, okay, I'd say that's probably a smart idea from your writing desk perspective.
Yeah.
Or rather from your marketing perspective.
Yeah.
But there you are sitting at the writing desk, and here's kind of where I think that they did it, because you have episode 5 just passed, quite a dark ending, you know.
Yep.
And they've had quite a few things already in this movie be potentially quite dark as well.
Yeah, true. With a Rancor.
That's it. And
sail barge, and
you have this contrasting scene as well with Luke fighting his father and getting barbecued by Sheev.
Yeah, true.
And so
true.
Maybe they needed something that was a little bit polar opposite. You got teddy bears to this playful music,
something to balance out the palette, perhaps.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a good point.
And I think when I look at it that way, I was having a think about it today. When I look at it that way, I think it fits a lot better. Whether I would have changed it or did a little less corny things, possibly, maybe. Yep. That ATST tripping up over the logs is all.
it's a rough scene to watch. Like, and then and then you see, obviously it wasn't released until last year, but then you see that episode in The Mandalorian, episode 4, or chapter 4 rather, in the first season, where that ATST comes out with the Raiders, and you can see how threatening that is and how menacing that is, and yet in episode 6 these cuddly little toy bears are getting dragged along and knocking it over, and isn't this a grand old little adventure? It's there's a disconnect there.
But no, I think looking at it that way, it makes a bit more sense in my head.
Yeah.
Because it might have been a little too dark, even though it does end positively right toward the end. It's just a bit too much over and over and again. You're getting...
Yeah, and I think once you really sit down and think about the fact that they were going to eat the rebels, that's when you go, ooh, this episode might have gone a completely different direction.
Slow cooked over the fire while they're alive.
Yeah. Delicious. Yeah.
That's like Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru style.
Yeah. Yeah, except they were almost disintegrated by the looks of it.
Yeah, never leave the stove on while you're out.
Yeah, that's right,
is the
exactly.
message.
Yeah, that Tatooine sun, slip, slop, slap.
All right, moving on from that one then. What do we got here? I have a thought of the day.
Okay, I have thoughts.
So, that's nice.
Okay, I didn't quite mean it like that, but I'll take it.
Looking at the lightsaber combat, so I'm going to say, let me have lightsaber conversations in this new year, please.
Were we not letting you have lightsaber conversations?
Feels like every time I bring up lightsabers, you guys are like, here he goes, lightsabers.
I actually don't remember the last time you mentioned lightsabers.
Because I wasn't allowed to.
Oh, okay.
Anyhow.
You are the host of the show.
I forget that from time to time.
Yeah, true. I can see why you would.
I get roasted more than Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen. Lightsabers, are they all the same? Is my very, very broad question as far as the...
What? I mean, both yes and also no?
Okay, let me explain myself a bit
Okay, go
here.
ahead.
So we see in the original trilogy and in the sequel trilogy, they appeared to be very much like the equivalent of like a great sword that we would have here, like a two-handed broadsword. We have to swing every single thing. There's so much effort. Then along come the prequels, and they're dual-wielding them. They're doing such fast-paced action choreography.
They're flipping.
And they very much seem with those to be like, fencing sabers, really quick and whippy, but not the same as, the other parts of the canon, which kind of led me to ask the question, and I wonder if you could dip into your little Legends lore.
Ooh, okay, sure.
I noticed
can.
that you don't have an almanac on your back these days.
I've gone a little bit more digital.
I wondered what that implant was behind your ear.
Yeah, no, that's what that's all about. So I've got actually, it's based on the cloud. It's a really big cloud.
Is it hackable?
No,
Oh.
no, because reasons. So I'm actually just automatically connected through a small antenna that I've installed in the back of my head.
So you're effectively Lobot from now on.
More attractive Lobot,
Oh,
more
yeah.
hair. Yes,
I'll take that.
But I suppose, yeah, I'm connected to a central computer.
Okay. A little more personality too, I would hope.
I think so. Yeah, I've got a few more vocals.
While we're at it, here's a picture of Porkins for you saying
Thank
stay on
you.
target. I'll
Yeah.
take one as well.
Yeah, thank you. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's stay on target. So lightsabers. It brings
Yeah.
me to sort of ask the question. I know that they probably didn't think about it too much while they were making the movies, but like, is it like, you know, in our medieval times, you know, you get a cutlass, you get a broadsword, you get a two-handed sword, you get a
Yeah. Look, I
little
mean,
rapier.
those sort of weapons of a certain design, like particularly melee weapons or martial weapons, tend to follow a certain format. There's a pointy end, and then there's a bit you hold that isn't pointy, so you don't stab yourself.
It's the idea anyway.
Well, generally, yeah. Certain other people get it wrong. So yeah, it kind of follows a similar sort of form and structure, but you know there are variations in between. In terms of the lightsaber, it went through various iterations from a proto saber,
Yeah.
which is kind of what we see in the latest YouTube videos. If you guys have been seeing the YouTube
Yeah.
videos of Hacksmith and whoever else is building new lightsabers. That's essentially a proto saber where it's attached to a tank or a power source, and it's providing the cutting service. So very much early stages, and then technology develops, and they become detached, and so yeah. So I think the inherent design, and particularly for Star Wars itself, hasn't really changed too much. They're fairly straightforward. There's not like your rapier sort of. You can get lightsaber whips. You can get.
I've seen. We'll talk about that in a second.
We've got force pikes. We've got double-sided and all that sort of stuff.
Well, because it's very clearly seen even in the movies. You get different hilt sizes, different even blade sizes. Like Yoda has a little
Shoto blade.
Yeah, it's a nod to traditional Japanese.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's visible differences, different colors and all of that.
Yeah.
But I wondered whether it was ever stated in canon. Like, I know actually maybe the Darksaber, the Mandalorian one, gets stated that it's quite a heavy sort of saber.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe not so balanced or whatever it may be. And I know that certainly in the games you can have different like balanced and unbalanced crystals.
Yeah.
And different sort of things. So I wondered whether that had an effect to the weight of the saber, and why
Quite possibly.
in the prequels it's so fast paced, because they may have had different styles. Versus
Well,
the
so
OT.
there's always a bunch of different like lightsaber forms. There's 7 lightsaber forms that you can use, which are some are more effective against Jedi, others are more effective against groups or blasters and like all that, and range combat and all that sort of stuff. So I don't think the lightsaber weapon, because a sword is a sword, it's a big sharp metal stick basically, which is basically what a lightsaber is, except it's made of 2,000 degree burning plasma. But the form and how you use it is obviously different. There's stylistic changes, but in essence it's the same thing.
Okay.
That's I don't think they can really make too many different lightsaber things.
Okay.
You can get lightsaber tonfas though as well, which we see in the Force Unleashed games, which is they're like a baton with a perpendicular handle.
Yep.
So you hold it like it, and then they swing them around. And,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, well, I guess my last question regarding that to you would be, do you have a preference between watching the OT and the sequels? You notice particularly in the sequels when, I get it, Rey isn't as trained at the start of everything, but even kind of Kylo as well, they're like slogging each other with these
Yeah,
things.
they're
Like,
smashing each other.
very clearly taking a lot of effort to do each and every strike versus the prequels where it's bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference?
I like the slogging.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of
You like a
'cause
good slogging.
it's not how I imagine that phrase to go, but I suppose so. Yeah.
It's on the record, I guess.
It is now. Like because it means something. It's not just flashy light and pixels and all that sort of stuff. It's actually meaningful and it has impact and weight. So I suppose that's why I like it. Yeah,
I'd like it if it was somehow stated in canon that you can get yourself a lighter lightsaber, but perhaps it's not quite as powerful. So you might be able to get quicker jabs in, but it's not going to slice through the person like a heavier one might.
Or it's maybe not as long, so your reach is a bit shorter.
That's it. Yeah.
You're not going to be as effective a combatant. So your short sword compared to your long sword compared to your great sword or battle axe or whatever.
That'd be cool if that was stated.
Cool. It would be. I would like a lightsaber battle axe, actually. That would be pretty cool.
I've seen pictures of that. It seems kind of useless because, like, as soon as
Does
anybody...
that actually exist?
I don't know. I think it was like a fan picture.
Oh, okay,
as soon as somebody comes along with a lightsaber, they're just going to cut the handle of the axe on it.
Yeah, this is true.
What are you going to do?
Well, unless it's Beskar. And then you're okay.
Actually, what were those axes that the Executioner Stormtroopers had in Last Jedi that were going to execute?
They weren't lightsabers. I think they were just electrified energy.
Yeah?
Or they seemed to be. Like, they were like points of electrical whatever. I don't think... maybe they were mirrored on lightsaber sort of ideals, but they seem to be like your light bulb sort of construction.
Shocking.
Yeah. Would be for them.
Yeah, indeed. Alrighty, well, we got Mando talk, we got High Republic to talk about.
Oh, yes.
And then that might be it. It might be a shorter episode just to wean people back in.
Whet the appetite.
You disappoint me.
Well,
Get used to it.
You and my mother. Hello, everybody.
Yeah. Actually, on that, if I may.
Yeah.
I had a quick conversation with my father the other day.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you had a quick conversation with my mother, and I was like, whoa.
I wish. She's a nice lady.
Even I don't talk to her that much.
Oh, dear.
I love you, Mum.
Well, she emails us, and thanks, Andy's mum.
This is true. Yeah, thanks, my mum.
I had a conversation with my father, and he goes, oh, by the way, your mum has downloaded Spotify now. And I said, okay, cool.
Cool, great.
And he goes, so we've been listening to your
podcast.
And he's hi, Dad, if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
He goes, you listen to your thing that
Is that
just say Star Wars. Yeah. And he goes, I'm just gonna feed this to you. Okay, Astromech, the Star Wars podcast I host, and he's like, yeah, that one. And we heard your name. You're the robot with a he's very well spoken, by the way, my father.
Yeah,
he doesn't need to search for the words.
Did you make him nervous? Is he nervous in your presence now?
It sounded
Is
more
he a
like
bit starstruck.
It sounded more like cold hard disappointment
Oh,
to
okay,
me.
yeah.
It's like your podcast.
The despair was really kind of cutting through.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
My wife still has only listened to maybe half of one episode. That's lovely, dear. It's great that you've got somewhere to go.
Well, she's listening to some of the Move Your Mind also.
Yes. Well, she likes that. She's engaged with that, which is
more produced
Star
on
Wars
our
is not for everybody.
Turnsounds website.
Yes.
Check it out. Move Your Mind. All right. Well, let's jump into Mandalorian. What do you reckon?
Oh, great.
He's the man, the Mandalorian. Woo! He's got a disintegration gun.
Yeehaw!
Jetpacks and lots of fighting.
Yes!
Baby Yoda does lots of biting.
Do you know what? My son was listening because he's got his own phone and he's got headphones and all that sort of stuff. And he's on our premium Spotify account, so he's got his own account and stuff. He's been listening to this and he's like, I really like that intro. Where'd you get that intro from? I'm like, well, Isaac made it. And,
Yeah.
He doesn't get out much and it's pretty good. What do you think? He's like, yeah, he's a big fan of all of the jingles that get created.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's encouraging. Thank you, Oscar, is it?
It's the OG.
The OG.
Yeah,
Thank
the
you,
OG.
Oscar Green, for your continued support. I don't get it from many other people, so it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. We get a pat on the head and that's about it.
Yeah, the last infill episode we did with Ice Cream Maker Core, I think it was like the fan service or Easter egg one.
Oh, yep.
That we do. So I played that for a segment we had, and he's like, I really wasn't keen for it at first, but it's really grown on me. I was like, man, you've just described every single thing I've made.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we respond. Ben more than others.
He's pretty supportive.
I feel not for your notice integration.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
true.
Anyway, we're off target. Let's stay on target.
Well, that makes me sad, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, Mandalorian, the season finale.
What an end!
What a time for us to go on break.
I
Right
know,
before.
right? Terrible timing. Terrible. I don't know about you, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. I think this was a really great end. A really great episode.
Wasn't quite tears for me.
No?
Not like some people online, but we won't talk about that.
No, we won't. Actually, I think Oscar, he said he got a bit emotional. Particularly with the Mando helmet scene. He got a bit emotional with that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Were you behind him there going, cry, son, cry?
I actually had him in a chokehold at the time, so that might be why. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we don't usually talk about these things as they happen as far as chronologically.
No.
We just pick it apart as we remember it. Opening thoughts. Opening thoughts?
In terms of I suppose a negative response, my only issue was maybe with the Luke de-aged CGI.
Yeah, me too.
But then, I was like, it really kind of was a little bit jarring. But then there was a whole bunch of memes coming out about with Moff Gideon saying, or Giancarlo Espinato with his, it's not about the CGI, it's about the story.
Right.
Kind of in that direct correlation. It's not about the Darksaber, it's about the power that it holds.
Right.
So and they kind of, there was a meme with, CGI Tarkin, CGI Leia and de-aged Luke going, it's not about the CGI, it's about the story. And I kind of, that turned my mind around with that. My mind was moved. To go, actually, you're right. As much as I found it jarring, it's not so much about the CGI. That whole story and the entrance and like that battle as they're running through the corridor and the it was good. It's a good episode.
If I may go on a slight, not rant, okay?
Go rant away.
A little tangent.
I'll get Porkins ready.
Okay. The whole thing for me, Star Wars wise, is you're sitting there with this window, your TV screen or your screen, into this other world far, far away, right?
Yeah.
Not once, whenever somebody pulls out a blaster and shoots, or when a lightsaber gets ignited, does my brain go, "Oh, that wasn't real. That was just an effect." I actually believe in my mind that you're shooting lasers, you're deflecting, you're lifting something up with the Force.
Yeah.
That's my suspension of disbelief happening as I'm watching the magic of Star Wars. Now, when I see these de-aging things come along, Tarkin, it wasn't bad for me.
Tarkin was all right.
Yeah, it was
I like Tarkin.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
So when this Luke comes along, he takes off his hood. We know straight away that's supposed to be Mark Hamill, and it actually was Mark Hamill.
It was Mark Hamill, yeah.
I thought it might be Sebastian
Shaw?
Sebastian Stan.
Yeah.
I thought it might have been him. He's the Winter Soldier guy, for anyone who doesn't know.
Yep.
Spitting image of younger Mark Hamill. I thought it was going to be him, but so he takes off his hood and straight away that suspension of disbelief gets shattered because I'm like, you don't look like Luke.
Yeah, and the mouth movement was off.
It was really janky,
it wasn't great, but I think, I can move past that and say, look, for the story that it has, I'm happy to overlook that particular blip, because out of the entire episode, I think that's the only I suppose blip on the whole thing. What I did get annoyed about, and that nothing to do with the episode itself, but more for my life. I was on Reddit and looking through some of the Reddits and stuff like that. And came across a post, and I've been looking at the previous episode, and everything on Reddit gets a spoiler tag. So, you kind of tune it out, and it said, chapter 15, and then I clicked one that I misread, and I thought it said chapter 15, and it was actually chapter 16. And I got the entrance of Luke Skywalker spoiled for me ahead of the episode.
No.
Yeah, so I knew that Luke Skywalker was turning up. So as soon as, one X-wing, great, that'll do a lot. Turned up,
Yeah.
which was a great line, by the way. I went,
Great,
oh.
we're saved.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's where he turns up, and so it didn't have the same impact, I think, for me. Whereas I watched my kids, and they were like, who is that? And then they see the person in black, and like, ooh, and they see the green lights, and like, ooh, and then they see the one glove, and like, ooh, and then now we're trying to guess who it was, and yeah, it was good fun. But that's, I suppose, for me, that was my only disappointment, that I got that small kind of massive spoiler.
Yeah.
Spoiled.
Yeah.
Don't do spoilers, kids. It's no fun for anybody.
Yeah. I
That's
think
the impact.
even yourself looking back, you might feel a bit trashy about it and say, why did I do that?
Well, yeah, it's only because I was looking at content from the previous episode.
No, not you. The person who spoiled it.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Well, they had all the right tags. I just misread the tag.
Okay.
That's, yeah,
Okay.
I saw 15 and it was 16 and I went, oh, I've made a mistake. Anyway.
Okay, well, my criticisms about the CGI, Luke, it's only like if I had to pick something,
Yeah, absolutely.
And the funny thing
Absolutely.
is, when you're just looking at a picture, it looks brilliant. But once it's moving and talking and his top lip doesn't move properly,
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
it doesn't feel right. So that would be really... if I had to tack something onto that,
Okay.
it would only be also the music that your boy Ludwig has done an amazing job throughout this whole... These 2
outstanding.
seasons have been wonderful.
Oh, I've got the OST. You can get the OST on Spotify.
It's amazing.
So I've follow and subscribe to them and all that, and they just have them on loop. I downloaded them to put on a USB for Archer, who has a galaxy globe projector thing.
Nice.
So he can play the Star Wars music while he stares at this galaxy in his house, in his room. Yeah.
Full of wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the music while Luke is slashing up these dark troopers, wasn't a fan. I gotta say.
Is that the dubstep one?
No, that one was actually sick.
Okay.
This is like a violin medley kind of thing. It sounds to me like, Final Fantasy PS2,
Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it. I didn't really know. All I remember is hearing the dubstep and going, oh, actually, I'm really excited.
Yeah. Oh, that was sick.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the start of the episode with the Lombarda shuttle and Doctor whatever his face was?
Yeah, interesting. Hey, I didn't know who the actors were. I was told that there was somebody special.
Oh, the pilots? Not particularly. They're fairly, not unknown, but they haven't had any kind of major roles that have kind of...
Okay.
Because I went and, Google searched who were the Imperial
do,
pilots,
yeah.
because that's, and they didn't really stand out, whether they weren't in stuff that I haven't seen or
Okay.
Yeah, so didn't stand out for me, but they did an amazing performance.
Yeah.
They did great.
So once again, they've shown that here is the Empire, the big evil bad guys, and straight away you've got this one guy who's like, all right, we can figure this out. No one needs to get hurt. A very sort of diplomatic good guy trait.
Yeah.
And then pow, gets capped.
But just in he gets shot and then just goes, oh,
Yeah.
and falls down, responds half a second. I found that quite amusing. I'm
Yeah.
let's leave that in.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in the director's chair. Yeah, good job.
Yeah. Half a second late, but you know what? You put effort in.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Have a cookie.
Yeah.
The whole situation with... okay, so...
Oh, okay.
I've just recalled the whole scene. So this guy is holding the doctor in front of him saying, I'll blow his brains out, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I have always said, I turned to my wife while this is watching, and I've always sort of said, if I was any kind of crack shot with a gun, which I don't know if I've ever fired a pistol before, different from a rifle, I'd imagine. But anyway, if somebody's standing there with a human shield in front of them and they start talking to you, that tells me that they have intent to finish a sentence, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as he starts talking, just pow, cap right in their head, and it's like, done. And that's exactly what Gina's character does.
So good. And she's like, well, I warned him.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can see the doctor's had part of his ear shaved off almost by the blaster bolt.
Yeah.
But yeah, he goes on that whole tear about, the rebels actually being terrorists. And I saw that taunting her and then just, gets his face melted in.
That's right, because he talks about Alderaan. It's like, we did that for fun.
Yeah, I was on the Death Star. Which one? like both implying they were both blown up, so you can't be on either of them. You moron. So yeah, no, it was a great scene, and then it was so cutthroat that Jin actually as she leaves that cockpit, he's like looking at it going, whoa, that was a bit cold.
Yeah, it was.
That was a bit harsh, but I thought it was a great episode. Yeah.
And then you got later on, so a pretty cool twist, I will say. So you imagine that they're all in Boba Fett. Boba Fett. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's been a few weeks, and I've forgotten, because we've talked about Boba Fett so long.
Boba Fett.
Well, I've forgotten how that catchphrase goes.
Okay.
You may continue.
All right. So you're led to believe, or certainly I was, that they're all traveling together in the Slave One.
Yeah. And
that there are these ships, and there is a ship that's emergency have to dock. Quick, let us in.
Yeah.
All of that. And it turns out it's the old Trojan horse type thing. Hey.
And you can see Moff Gideon's not buying it for a second. Like, as soon as they hit the system, he's like, "Oh, okay, all right, time to get everything prepared." And yeah, but it was a really nice twist, and I was kind of, I suppose, disappointed we didn't get to see much of Boba Fett. Well, this is going to be, we didn't get to see much of him in the episode in terms of the action and the main content, and we'll talk about the after credit scene.
Oh yeah,
in a little bit, but yeah, I thought that the whole entry and the execution, and the fact that they had and I've seen, and if I may turn a little bit political and maybe turn people off a little bit, we've seen potentially. So we've seen a lot of people kind of, or at least I've seen on the internet, a lot of conversations about the forced diversity of content nowadays. And I'm not brave enough for politics. But there was a really interesting correlation between the Endgame movie with all the female characters turning up at the end with Rescue and Captain Marvel, and people referring to that as kind of a forced scene, whereas the scene with Bo-Katan and Fennec and Kara, and I forget the other Mandalorian's name, but those three women just kind of...
Four even.
Sorry, yes, 4 women. My apologies. But just kind of going through that destroyer or that carrier and just eating stormtroopers for breakfast, just chewing them up. And, it wasn't kind of, hey, girls get it done or anything
Girl
like
power
that. And let me be really clear. I'm all for that, and I'm all for empowerment and all that. And I just thought it was an interesting commentary on... that Marvel had this kind of idea of how that should be portrayed, and then Disney came along and went, well, actually, let's just go and... Disney is Marvel, but let's just shoot stormtroopers in the face and be done with it.
Look, I, as it happens, said the exact same thing to my wife. My Shelby and I were watching, and after the scene had passed, we kind of paused it, and I said, "Did you notice something there?" And she kind of said, "Well, yeah, they were all women doing those things." And we kind of talked it over, and 2 of them were wearing helmets, so it wasn't quite as obvious or as blatantly done, but it was kind of like, we just enjoyed the heck out of that scene. It didn't feel like anything was pushed. It didn't feel like it was, we have to do this because we're big and tough and strong, and we don't need no man type energy. There wasn't any of that. It was like, here we are, we're capable, we're here to do the job, and we did the job.
And I think the reason maybe people are upset, and particularly, we're 2 guys talking about it, so I don't know how credible our perspective may be. So if you are of the female persuasion and want to sound in on this, please hit us up at turnsounds@gmail.com or on our Facebook and socials, and have
good idea, yeah.
Have a conversation with us about it and tell us if we're wrong or right. But I think because it wasn't kind of trying to push a message, it was just 4 girls getting or 4 women rather, getting a job done because it needed to get done, and it wasn't about politicizing a particular kind of or breaking any kind of stereotype or any kind of assumed role or anything like that.
Yeah. You didn't have to push anyone down to bolster yourself up.
Yeah. Not that
other than the stormtroopers.
But they're meaningless and faceless anyway for that exact reason. But but not that Marvel necessarily in the Endgame movies were trying to do that, but it was definitely a lot more obvious, I suppose, with how that was portrayed and that was done.
It was all in the framing, I think it was.
Yeah, definitely so. Definitely so.
Anyhow. So then we move on to, very valid point, but appreciate you. We move on to, so old Mando, he walks in on Moff Gideon, who's hovering the Darksaber above little Grogu. And it's kind of like, bro, this is not how you make friends.
yeah. Like, this is not going to end well for you, mate.
No.
This is bad news.
Yeah, so he proceeds to pretty much tell him, look, you can take him. I don't need it anymore. Just walk away. And shockingly, Mando agrees to it. And I was like, there's no way that this is how this ends.
No, absolutely not. You know that it's not going to end that way. But then, like, he could have just walked out.
Yeah.
And Gideon could have just let him go, and the story kind of goes on and it gets resolved in a different way. But he decides to try and attack a Mandalorian warrior in Beskar armor.
2 points on that.
Yeah.
So first of all, okay, so you might be a little bit suspicious of the deal ahead. You know, if you're Mando, you're like, oh, okay, is he going to honor his word? Okay, let's just say he is. Don't turn your back for one. Kind of just do a little semicircle, you know, walk around, pick up little Grogu and off you go. Second point, if you're on the other end of there, you're Moff Gideon, and you see this guy in full Beskar armor with little patches in between the armor with his back turned to you, shish kebab that guy and be done with it.
Stab him. Don't smash him across the plates.
But like, I don't know.
It's like he's not even trying.
Well, maybe Beskar's that rare that he's okay.
Maybe, here's my thought. Maybe there's a deeper play. Maybe Moff Gideon wanted to lose because he knew he was going to lose. And he wanted Mando to get the Darksaber because it messed with Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
And it's a deeper play.
So that was something that we called early watching it as well, because Bo-Katan very clearly says, Moff Gideon's mine, nobody touch him.
Yeah.
I need to beat him.
Yeah.
And watching the Clone Wars, I mean, you would know this as sort of as well. It's kind of been built up that whoever defeats the person that owns the Darksaber gets the Darksaber.
That's right.
It was a little bit sort of convoluted with, I think at one point, Sabine just gives it away. Because
Sabine gets the Darksaber or locates the Darksaber in
Rebels.
The Rebels cartoon. I think she gets it from Dathomir from memory.
Yep.
And essentially gives it to Bo-Katan in her crusade to, you know, win hearts and minds. And at that point, you know, there's no kind of contention. There is a theory that that's why the Mandalorians were defeated, because her rule wasn't legitimized.
Nobody knew that though. For all intents and purposes, she could just say, "Oh, I was defeated in combat."
Possibly.
So it doesn't mean killed; it just means defeated in combat.
Yeah. I mean, Moff Gideon obviously defeated her and captured the Darksaber, and then he was subsequently defeated by Din Djarin, who is now technically the true ruler of Mandalore.
There you go.
Which will be an interesting season 3, I think.
Yeah. I don't see him necessarily wanting to fight back for...
Very clearly doesn't want the Darksaber. Just not interested.
So I like that. So you get it, Moff Gideon's like... He's like laughing at him because he's like, nope, you can't just hand it over. She has to beat you in combat. And so his response is, I yield. Take the thing.
Yeah.
I give up. Oh, you beat me. Like, it's not that easy,
I'm afraid. And that's where that line, you know, it's not the Darksaber itself, it's the power of the story.
Right.
You know, the Darksaber doesn't have the power, the story has the power. I think is how that goes.
Unlimited
power! Yeah. That was, and then obviously the Dark Troopers all fly back in.
Oh, crazy times.
And then start pounding on the door, and then the lone X-Wing, Great West Save, turns up.
Yep.
And your old boy Luke carves them to pieces.
You knew that was Luke, and so there was no question.
Yeah, because I'd got it spoiled ahead, so I knew that was Luke.
Yeah.
I think, like I was asking the kids afterwards when they watched it, because obviously, you know, I'd already got it spoiled, and I didn't tell them anything because I'm a good parent. And said, hey, you know, what did you think when you saw the X-Wing? Like, oh, we thought it was somebody, we weren't really, and they weren't really sure, and it was the clues of the cloak, and then you saw the one glove, and then you saw the green lightsaber, and then they were like, oh, it's probably Luke Skywalker.
It whittled down for me the list of suspects. The more and more the scene came out, the X-Wing flies in. And I thought to myself, do you know, it's the right time period for Cal Kestis, the dude from the Fallen Order.
I thought maybe it was Kim's Convenience.
Yeah. Saving the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But yeah, it could be.
I thought, and the actor that did the motion capture for the game
Yep.
looks exactly like the character, so it's like there'd be that continuity quite well.
Strange how that happens.
Yep. I thought to myself, crazy, but Kyle Katarn from,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to put, crazy sort of theories out there.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I never once thought Mace Windu because I think that's just a bunch of baloney.
Yeah.
Happy if it happened, but I'm not hopeful.
No, look, I think he's well and truly dead. I don't imagine he'll come back, but hey, who knows?
The only reason I wasn't immediately thinking Luke was because we've got this is all happening in between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy, and so I thought there's no way that the optimistic Luke that we all know and love is going to come fly and save the day for another Jedi. To then, I know he was training up Jedi supposedly before it all went downhill. But there was something that just didn't feel like, from how we see him in the sequels, that's where his character progression was.
Well, yeah, and I think... So who did you originally... when you saw the X-Wing turn up, did you think it was a Jedi that rocked up?
Yeah, 100%.
But you weren't sure... You didn't kind of have any initial thoughts about it?
No.
Okay.
Luke, to me, seemed like the easy option. I thought to myself, if I was the Disney exec going, what Jedi should show up... Luke could definitely be a fan favorite, but it's a very easy thing to get wrong, as we've now seen. There's some backlash on the CGI, unfortunately.
Yeah. But I think, if you look at the whole series of events and that time period for the storyline, it's realistically the only move that they could make that makes any kind of sense, because he's the only Jedi in the galaxy. He's the one that it's
not Cal Kestis?
Well, no. Well, Cal Kestis isn't... he's in a game, but he's not necessarily we've only seen one story, and we haven't seen him in any other content yet, and that content finished prior to.
Isn't that the same though with Ahsoka and with Bo-Katan and with who else have we seen?
Look, it is, but then I think there's a different connection. Cal Kestis. So for those of you playing along, going, what are they talking about? Cal was the main protagonist from the game Fallen Order for Xbox and PS4 and all those. Disappears at the end of the game or goes on his travels or whatever.
Yep.
But there's no kind of idea of where he goes, and the time period is still very much within the empirical. Vader is still around, Vader still exists.
Yeah.
So it's prior to episode 5 and 6, I think.
Yes.
It's between 4 and 5. Whereas this is after episode 6 in the movie sequence. This is 6 years after, 5 or 6 years after the movie sequence. So Luke he's defeated Vader, he's blown up the Death Star, he's killed the Emperor, allegedly, somehow. Somehow. And he's had 6 years in that time to, build on that. So I think, as the only Jedi, he's the most logical sense for that particular person. I don't Ahsoka Tano has made it very clear she's not interested, and she just wants to find where Admiral Thrawn is. And there's not really any other Jedi that have turned up.
What about then? So we see, and here's an idea for you, what could have been. We see in episode 9 that Leia was doing training.
True.
What if Leia rocked up?
See, yeah, that would be interesting. And maybe in the next whatever series they create, maybe we'll see some reference to that where they talk about Luke and Leia, and maybe there's some kind of connection there. But I mean, that's a different series or a different season or a different content altogether. Yeah.
So then this episode ends, of course, with a real tearjerker of Mando saying goodbye to Baby Yoda, and I can see it for a moment there. He's saying goodbye, and then he goes, "Actually, no, let me take my helmet off," and it's just such a "with my own eyes" type moment.
Yeah, it is absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was where the kids got a bit teared up and choked up with emotion. Me, not so much. But it was definitely a very powerful scene.
Lost your tear ducts in the war.
Yeah, never got them back.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it leaves the door wide open for.
Oh, there's so much, and so they disappear, and I think I think the most exciting thing, the kids really loved seeing R2-D2 turn up again.
Yeah, true.
So they love seeing him roll in.
Yep.
I loved that too, obviously, but they took particular joy in that. So, and then we have the credits, and then after the credits, if you stuck around like I did,
the one time that my wife and I went, oh, that was nice. Get up and do something else, and then we find out there's an after credit scene. We're like, oh.
I sat there and I was just sitting there just kind of processing it and watching the credits. And I was just processing it. And then suddenly I'm like, oh, hang on. We're back on Tatooine. Oh, that's Jabba's palace. Oh, there's an after credits scene.
What?
Do I need to go back and watch all of the other episodes? Have I missed this all along? And then we see Bib Fortuna,
do you know if it was Michael Carter, the original actor?
No, I don't think so. I think it was a different. I think in the credits it was because that's what tipped me off because I was watching the credits and I was looking at the cast list and it said whoever the actor was as Bib Fortuna. I'm like, oh,
what?
I'm like, oh, maybe he was in like one of the earlier scenes. Maybe
think you'd notice that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I must have missed him. I'll have to go back. And then suddenly there's an after credits scene. I'm like, oh, and then he's sitting on a chair in Jabba's palace on Jabba's chair.
Thick boy.
Oof, he has put on some kilos.
Ooh.
But did you hear what he said when he told the Weequay to go up the thing?
McClunky.
He certainly did.
He said McClunky.
Yeah, so that was a nice little... I'm going to say that's an Easter egg.
Well, I'd like to know what it actually means, because it's Greedo's last words. I thought it would have been like, F you, essentially.
I don't know. I think it was, like, go and kill them.
Which maybe if he's dismissing his guy as well.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Yeah.
But and then Fennec comes through and does a real number on everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And then Boba Fett comes
back. Boba Fett?
Well, he's in the chair.
Yeah. Man. And of all the places to go back to, hot and slimy Tatooine.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe the palace is nice and air-conditioned and all of that. Who knows? Okay. Actually, why not? If you had to go back somewhere, he knows Tatooine. He knows the...
Yeah, and
palace.
I think it's been his place of employment prior to his Sarlacc consumption. He knows it well, and it's a icon for the Denzians of the galaxy.
Maybe that dancer whose chin he stroked is still there.
Maybe that was his half daughter that was on the chain. Perhaps.
Ah.
We'll never know.
Interesting. So that teases the Book of Boba Fett.
Whoa!
And
December 21 is
really?
Yeah.
So soon.
Yeah. So Book of Boba Fett, which I originally thought, and it's been disproven since then, I originally thought, wow, they're just going to change the Mandalorian, and Mandalorian Season 3 is going to be the Book of Boba Fett.
Really?
That sounds great. But that since has been disproven. They're actually two separate series.
I think, and I don't say this, okay, so I think that's dope. I really think that's cool that they're splitting them in.
Yeah. Okay,
so now we can not have these, all these different storylines. We have to keep switching in between during episodes. It's like, you want to see this kick-ass bounty hunter and his new, side
with cyborg guts.
Yeah, exactly. Go off on their adventures. Here's a whole thing about that. Go nuts.
And they can still have potentially tie-ins, and there can be crossovers, and there can be episodes that interweave and connect, much like Legends used to do. But you have very separate content.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Very cool. Exciting. And then I don't know if that's the same year as Obi-Wan or if that's 2022.
Well, Obi-Wan, I think, is meant to start production soon from memory. January 2020 was when 21 is when they'd slated production to start for Obi-Wan. Book of Boba Fett comes out in December 21, and then I believe the first quarter of 22 is Season 3 for Mandalorian.
Can I just say as well, I really like that titling. I think it's very much a Chronicles of Riddick,
Yeah. With the chapters and stuff?
Yeah.
It's good.
I'm trying to think I know, like Chronicles of Narnia, Chronicles of Riddick, like the Legend of this and that, the Book of Eli.
But yeah, that was one of my things I thought of when I saw Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's a really interesting kind of narrative device, I suppose. Yeah, and that's why I suppose it. Book of Boba Fett was season 3 originally, was because it's what do books have? They've got chapters.
Yeah.
So, maybe they've closed the book on The Mandalorian and now they're going to open the Book of Boba Fett. But
I wouldn't know. Yeah.
they can read 2 books at once, apparently.
Why
which
not
is very
both?
cool. Why not both? Yeah.
I'd like to
cool.
see very much how he escapes the Sarlacc as well, as a flashback or something. Just
Oh, yeah, have like those haunted scenes. Maybe he's sleeping and he's dreaming and he's tossing and turning. And then, yeah.
or like the Sarlacc actually gets eaten by that crate dragon and then like...
How cool would that be?
Oh, man.
And then he fights his way out.
Do like a monster battle in Star Wars. I don't know if we've ever had...
What, like a Pacific Rim style kaiju battle?
Not quite. More like there's always a bigger fish type thing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
There you go. Well, definitely left us hungry for more, and I think it's
very much so.
very rewatchable. I would even rank this second season above the first as far as intrigue, adventure, action. Man, action.
Oh, so much action. I think the season just kept getting better and better. Like every episode, I think we said, hey, this has been the best episode yet. I think season 1 was definitely kind of feeling the waters, kind of putting the characters out there. Season 2 blew it out of the water, and I'm really looking forward to season 3 and seeing where they go with the story now.
And I think the lesson should really be, now that they've got this rubric of what works, what the fans like to see, what the audience likes to see.
Yeah.
Throw money at that. Don't skimp out on money. Don't skimp out on effects and stuff. Because the shocking thing, talking about like CGI Luke and whatnot, there's this guy on YouTube called like DerpX, I think DERPX, who does like those deep fake
stuff, yeah.
And I guarantee you he'll come up with a better looking Luke than they will.
Was he the one that did the deep fake Leia?
He did Leia. He did Han Solo as young Han Solo from the Solo movie.
Okay, yeah, cool.
He's done a whole bunch of other funny things.
Yeah.
But like showing you like, as the scene is running the two, like the Disney version and his version side by side, and you could swear that it was the original person in his.
Yeah,
because
okay.
he's actually using their face, just hundreds of pictures of their face, lots of different angles. The computer figures it out, pastes it together in a perfect cohesive image. I don't know why they're not just doing that. I
don't know. Maybe there's a problem with I don't know.
Yeah.
There's obviously a reason. What I did like as well is if you watch, while I think of people who adding things, obviously they took away Admiral Jean's guy.
Yeah.
But what they've done is at the end, in the last, or chapter 16, the last episode, they've now added a memorial for Jeremy Bulloch.
Oh,
who,
really?
Played the original Boba Fett.
That's right, yeah. R.I.P. him. Who we
he passed away, I think, the day after it was released.
Yeah.
Something like that. He passed away fairly shortly around the time that the last episode was released, or the day before, I think. And then they put a R.I.P. in memoriam tribute to him as part of the episode. So, yeah.
Tom Kane as well.
Had a stroke.
Yeah.
I figured you were going to cut the audio. That's why I didn't.
We got video running now, so it's a whole nother.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always watching.
Always watching. Tom Kane suffered a stroke. He's done a lot of like voiceover stuff.
Admiral Yularen, I believe, from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, he's done a few different voices from memory. There was another one, but I can't remember who it was.
Done a bunch,
Sorry. But he suffered a stroke, and it looks like it's really affected his vocal cords. Yeah. So there's been no news on recovery or anything like that, but I imagine it's probably not a short-term sort of situation where he can just get better next week. Sad, but
cool.
But hopefully he recovers.
Oh, one other final thing I forgot about Mando. Right at the start, they have a quick in brawl between sitting at the bar.
I forgot about
That's
right.
Right.
Where I thought maybe I'd missed Boba Fett. Fortuna.
Yeah, cool.
I thought maybe he was sitting at the bar and as a bit of an Easter egg, and I'd overlooked him.
Well, at one point, Bo-Katan says to Boba something about you're a disgrace to your armor. And
Yeah.
then he says, like, this armor was my father's. And then she says, don't you mean your donor's? And it's very much an, oh.
You're going to take that, boy?
Yeah, very much hinting that, he is a clone and that
Yeah.
she knows clones.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like fully voicing something that I had been saying for a while.
Yeah.
Every time he refers to Django as his father, it's like, well, he's not really. Like,
Yeah.
come on, mate.
He's a genetic copy.
Yeah.
But then it also she goes, "You're not a true Mandalorian," and he says, "I never claimed I was."
Yeah.
Which kind of flies in the face of what we kind of been led to understand,
Right.
from when he brings up the chain code,
Yeah.
with Mando on Tython,
Right.
and he goes, "This is my father, and this is me," and he says, "Oh, you were a foundling."
Yeah.
Or he was a foundling.
Yeah.
And then gives him his armor back when theoretically it's
Well, he's
might
not-
be his father's, but he's not a Mandalorian. So it kind of, again, it's that juxtaposition of
Yeah.
what's the play here. But
Oh, I'd really like it if that kind of division didn't rear its ugly head again. The whole is he not a Mandalorian?
yeah.
Far as I'm concerned, still you've got the armor on. Other than if you're Cobb Vanth Refrigeration, you're not. Sure, he didn't claim that he was a Mandalorian, but if
Yeah.
he is a foundling, then he technically is, even if he
Yeah,
never admits it.
he's been claimed by the Death Watch or
That's
whatever
it, yeah.
cult they run.
Yep.
Children of the Death Watch, I think it
Of
is.
the Watch or
Of
something.
the Watch, that's right. Children
Yeah.
of the Watch. But yeah, so I found that was an interesting kind of little interlude. And Mercedes, I forget her last name, who plays the other Mandalorian, got to bust. She plays the WWE wrestler Sasha Banks in real life. Got to bust some sweet Mandalorian wrestle moves
Yeah.
on good old Boba Fett.
Using jetpacks in fight, man. So cool.
How good was that?
So cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great.
All right, let's jump out of that one.
Okay.
No more Mandalorian talk for a while. We're putting an outright ban on it until next week.
You can't ban me.
We'll see.
Darksabers!
Really quickly,
Grogu!
tell me, you got like 1 minute to talk on this because we got to go.
All right.
High Republic, the book series, has
Yes,
launched.
It has.
What are your thoughts? Are you excited? You're reading them? What's happening?
I am excited. So the first book called Light of the Jedi has been released. It is a piece of junk.
Is it?
No, it's not.
Okay.
I haven't read it. I have no opinion. From what I've seen of people who enjoy Star Wars, they're really loving it.
Cool.
But I haven't seen kind of any critical reviews or anything like that. So it got released on the 5th of January. It's by an author called Christopher Soule.
Okay.
Soul with an E at the end. So if I mispronounce your name, Christopher, you don't listen, but I apologize.
Turnsounds@gmail.com.
You can voice your complaints to Ben. But yeah, it sounds really interesting. I'm kind of like they've been talking about this overarching kind of meta thread plot thing. They've released some of their canon releases for 2021, some pictographs of the book series and the novels and all the other things that kind of tie into this central theme of High Republic. It looks really interesting. It's got like this Art Deco, steampunk sort of vibe to it with, more elaborate handles, more elaborate lightsabers. The clothing's a bit more gilded and sharp. That sort of brass sort of look to it.
Yeah.
That sort of Victorian nautical theme that you kind of associate with steampunk. I love that kind of thematic edge anyway, but it looks really interesting. Haven't read a word of it yet. I believe Mark Thompson, who is the audio voiceover guy that does all of the Star Wars books, has just finished recording or has posted a Twitter picture saying, hey, love doing this book. It was really great to be part of the Star Wars mythos again. So yeah, looking forward to it. But you'll have to wait for my critical review.
Yeah.
For a little bit.
Yeah, 14-page review on...
I will give you a detailed 45-minute breakdown of... no, I won't.
You should release your own audiobook reading of the High Republic.
I shouldn't. No one wants to hear that. I'll do all the voices
Please
too.
do, yeah.
No, that's a terrible idea. Pay me a lot of money and I'll do it.
I will be very, very critical of it if they give... See, I've seen it. There's a depiction of a Jedi Wookiee on the front cover. Looks
What's
really
wrong
cool.
with a Jedi Wookiee?
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, okay.
That's sick. if they give him a normal voice, if they actually give him speech that we can understand, I'll be like, what's this?
Well, I mean, yeah. So I think it's a really hard format to do for audiobooks, though.
That's exactly right.
Because they've got to read it in some form. If it's an audiobook, like on a printed page, they can just italics it so you know that it's in a different language, but it's translated. But it's hard to italics a voice pattern.
But you see how they do it in the movies where Chewie does like a and then Han goes I know we can't, buddy, and just responds.
Show not tell.
Yeah. So maybe it might.
They might. You never know.
Yeah.
They might. We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Depends on how central that character is, I suppose. It might just be filler content.
That'd be cool. They did a similar thing in Clone Wars with a little Padawan Wookiee Jedi.
Okay,
it was very,
cool.
very cool. Alrighty. I reckon that'll lead us into the finale part of our show. Finally part of our show.
Finally!
Disintegration.
This is No Disintegration's the part where we bring something that we like. I hope you've remembered what it is.
I have not remembered.
Oh, put you on the spot.
I had so those of you who are listening, I had a couple of items in my head, in my brain box, going, I'm going to talk about that at the No Disintegrations part of the show, and that was a week ago, and I don't quite remember.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've got about 35 seconds while we listen to somebody sing us into this to get us in the mood.
All right, cool.
Yes, Benjamin, we're still doing this.
Yeah, sucked in.
You could say something about it if you were here.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Ben.
Yeah,
we appreciate you that you can't stop us.
Your Force Ghost. Maybe I'll insert like a Force Ghost version of him in the video.
Just screaming no.
Yeah.
No.
Who's it going to be?
Who have we got?
We got B-52s. We got David Bowie, Dean Martin, Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, Johnny Cash, Michael Bublé, Nat King Cole, Randy Newman, and Simon and Garfunkel. My goodness.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Thank you, Simon and Garfunkel, for all that you do on our show.
Are you having a marathon? Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. But there's one series tested by time. If he's tooling with you. Star Wars is a favorite of mine.
Indeed, Star Wars is a favorite. And Ben was actually going to tell us what his favorite saga or series, trilogy was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was he?
I think he reckoned that Lord of the Rings was better than Star Wars.
This is why he's not here and why he's unwell. His lies have caused this pain in him.
I might agree with him, but we'll talk on that later.
I feel like this is not the podcast for that conversation.
It's the Toy Story podcast, if you remember.
That's right.
Let me bring something to you that I like about Star Wars.
Do it.
You kind of spoke about it a little bit last year, talking Rey's new saber that she built.
Yeah.
Because lightsabers,
yeah! I
Ah.
did see one of the core pages. I think it was Jedi Academy, Jedi Knight Core, whatever it is.
That's my page, boy.
That's right. I do notice you did like the four, and one of them was Rey's lightsaber. I'm like, I totally agree.
Favorite lightsaber for the moment, Rey's saber. I like that it appears to be constructed from her old staff.
Yeah.
I think it's a very scavenger vibe still, very true. They hint a lot in the Clone Wars that your lightsaber is supposed to be incredibly personalized to what your character is and where you come from and all of that. So makes General Grievous's collection very confusing because there's multiple personalities apparently. But it very much feels like Rey, and like the twist switch to turn it on as well. Very cool.
I think that's what I liked about it the most.
Yeah.
The hand flick or the thumb flick to flick it on was just, I found that really strangely satisfying.
Super cool.
Yeah, it was really, really hot.
One of the actual core pages, I think it was Hosnian Kid core.
Okay.
Actually said same sort of thing. Like really likes the Rey saber, but man, it was underutilized. And
she could have been using it the entire time.
Absolutely.
The entire time. And people would have gone, it would have melted people's faces. People, I want them to mastercraft that. So they've released Force Effects lightsabers, which do a lot of the licensed and published lightsaber releases that you can put on your wall. They've got a dark saber now. They've got Ahsoka Tano's sabers. They've got all this new stuff, but they don't have Rey's lightsaber. And I'm really disappointed about that.
Soon, friend.
Yeah.
Soon.
They are like $500 each, though. They're not cheap sabers.
We'll get someone to sponsor us.
Well, that's right. Force Effects lightsabers, you could sponsor us.
Whoever's out there, you don't sponsor us, but you could.
You could. Someone will watch this.
Yeah.
Or listen.
Yeah. turnsounds@gmail.com. Hit us up.
Or Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you like about Star Wars, Andrew?
So my brain is currently cooking inside my skull. And
Come on.
No, it's fine. So I like that each of and I've kind of been inspired by Porkins here, but I like that there is personal touches on each of the helmets for the X-Wing pilots.
Surely you'll do better.
Shut up. Yes, I can.
Very valid.
But
that's
like
cool.
each of them, like you can go, oh, that's Luke's helmet,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
Big's helmet, and that's Wedge, and
Wedge.
like that's all that, or Veggies as he's also called.
He's not Veggies.
He is Veggies. It's canon. Yeah, like they've all got their own kind of personal iconography, and they're all a little bit different. They've got their different patches. It adds another layer to the mythos and to the era.
Much kind of like fighter pilots back in the day would do like little X's on the side of their, how many planes have you shot down? They've got like little marks on the sides. And
exactly right. And they, I don't know if any of them were sadistic enough to do that on their helmets. But certainly, I like that they're all just a little bit unique.
Maybe like fallen comrades or something like that,
Yeah, true. Possibly.
Remember them?
Possibly. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very well done. Listeners, I must actually issue to you an apology because it would seem that in the last formal episode that we did, I forgot to play the Scream of the Day. Yeah.
Tragedy.
Everybody...
Does that mean because you forgot to do something, you have to prank call somebody now and put on a stupid voice?
I'm under immense pressure running this show, I'll have you know. There are things that slip through the cracks every now and again.
True. It's not easy working with Ben.
It's not.
No.
It has been today, very easy.
Yeah. He's been very quiet.
So, it was nothing special anyway.
Don't undersell yourself.
Okay.
I'm sure it's great.
So, today's Scream of the Day is brought to you by Leia. One of the first, actually, I think we've had from her.
Okay.
Brought to you by Leia and also the Scout Trooper as he runs into the tree stump on Endor.
Great.
Here we go.
I can actually picture that scene.
Yeah. Yeah. Why, when you're going on a bike at 1,000,000 miles per hour, would you look behind you even for 1 second?
No way. No way would you be taking your eyes off the road.
No.
Like you're going through massive jungle trees. You idiot.
Yep.
Deserved it. They're going like 300 k's an hour.
I have no idea.
No, like that's the speed of those sort of bikes. They're like 300 to 400 k's an hour.
Crazy.
Because they've got minimal friction.
What we should do is in the Star Wars Battlefront game, there is actually, you can do the Endor racing.
Oh, okay.
And you can actually switch it to first person as well. So it's like you're there driving the machine.
Interesting.
We should see how long we can close our eyes before crashing. And I think...
I would say less than a second. For me.
Yeah. Because it feels crazy fast, I tell you.
Yeah, it would do.
While people are shooting at you too. So there's that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Excellent.
Well, if you have any questions or suggestions about how we run this circus of a show, this cantina band of a show, why don't you let us know at turnsounds@gmail.com or send some love via our website, turnsounds.com.
That's right. Or hit us up on Instagram, Facebook. There are Reddit stuff out there if you want to look for us. I challenge you.
Yeah.
Go on an Easter egg hunt.
We're also on a manhunt or person hunt, if you will, for a social media manager. Again, hit us up, turnsounds.com or turnsounds@gmail.com because we're very much looking for someone who's good, who's savvy with the equipments, the onlines and the marketings and saying, we need help.
Who likes hearing the sound of our voice and is not turned off by the silly things that we do.
And if I could get you, here's the thing, with people that we've gotten sort of wrapped up in the Turn Sounds rubber band ball, if you will. If you've ever made one of those, you add more and more and more, it gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I had one.
Pretty cool, actually, now that I think about it. If you get excited about the project you're working on, then it helps that it's at the moment for free. So there's a little something for you. You get enthusiastic about it, and then it becomes exciting.
Yeah.
Because it's getting bigger. Turn Sounds is growing as we're here in our now almost 3rd year. Coming up in a few months.
Can't be our 3rd year.
Coming up in a few months.
No, it'll be the start of our 3rd year.
That's what I mean. We're approaching our 3rd year.
I feel like we had a completely separate conversation all at the same time just then.
Quite likely.
Yeah, the heat's clearly affected my brain.
Well, until the next episode, we like Darth Vader.
I like Darth Vader. I like Darth Vader.
Yeah. And I've been your host, Admiral Isaac Barr, Isaac Mike Anthony.
Andrew Green, AG-11, your friendly assassin droid that goes kaboom.
Kaboom. Not now, though.
Not right now.
No. Not now.
No.